So I've been playing drums and music all my life. I got started really young. I would just naturally hit stuff. And with the house I was growing up in, my parents used to listen to a bunch of good music, a bunch of 90s R&B, Michael Jackson, stuff like that. So the good stuff. And I was always connected to music and had a very strong connection with it. So when I got to elementary school and there was band, I of course wanted to do it. My parents, knowing I have a very good ear, they said, "You are not going to play drums first, you're going to play trumpet because we want you to learn how to read music." They were right. I was going to cheat. So I learned trumpet at first. And then eventually I got onto drums once my parents made sure that I was doing my reading, which is good. Always got to do reading. And I continued all that stuff throughout middle school and high school, learning about jazz and drum set and all the great things. And when I was growing up, I didn't really get to take lessons. It wasn't really an option for me in the cards. So what I used to do is I used to go onto websites and just look at drumming videos and try to absorb as much of that as possible. Like I said earlier, I have a really good ear, so I make sure that I try to emulate those players as much as possible, and I try to kind of take things from each drummer and kind of turn them into my own. So listening to music and watching drummers really helped me as I was growing up. Couldn't really do lessons, so when I got to a drum set, I would try out a lick that I saw somebody do on the internet and YouTube, kind of stuff like that. YouTube is the greatest drum resource ever. Anyway, I continued all throughout high school, started to play with other people in bands, marching band, jazz band, tried to do as much as I possibly could, reading and making sure my reading chops were up and playing and trying to get, the best I could be at that point. And then after I graduated, I got onto American River College, which they've got a great music program there, and I'm studying music theory and all the great non-drum related stuff that's going to make me a better musician. People like Dr. Joe Gilman and Mike Crane, and recently I've started with Rick Lauder, so that's an amazing experience that I've been able to do. And at the moment, I'm just trying to really get the best I can as a musician, not just a drummer, because I don't want to be a drummer, I want to be a musician. So composing and writing tunes and trying to be the best musician I can be, not just the best drummer. Okay, so my influences. It's really a question of who's not my influence. I try to take as many things as I can from each drummer. There are some drummers that I do favor more than others. I'd say Thomas Pridgen has been a really big influence. I got to see him at a clinic at a local drum store in town when I was in 7th grade, so that was really incredible seeing that awesome of a drummer and being able to meet him and talk with him. And then all the jazz cats, especially like Tony Williams, Elvin Jones. There's a lot of things I can take from each genre of music and the drummers that come along with them. So Thomas Pridgen is a really big influence. Tony Williams, I really like his soloing abilities, but I also like a lot of the new cats like Mark Juliana, which his mind is basically a computer, and Ronald Bruner Jr. And there's a ton of people, and I mean, I didn't list off, Vinny, of course, I love Vinny. Dennis, Steve, and Dave, all first name basis, by the way, and all of these guys. So there's a ton of people that I listen to and I try to learn from as much as I can. So there's not really a person that I like more than everybody else. It's just a bunch of people. Anything I can get my hands on, really. I like to learn from everybody I possibly can. So my gear, I'm still experimenting with my setup, and I always like to make sure that I'm constantly doing new things and trying to find where I'm most comfortable. But I have companies that I really enjoy. using. So Yamaha drums, I love the tone, I love the sound, I love the feel. It's just, I can't help but smile when I play them, and that's not just a commercial. I've been using Yamaha since my first drum kit. Amazing drums, and I mean, Steve Gadd plays Yamaha. I mean, okay, but anyway, Zildjian cymbals. I love Zildjian cymbals. I have all these great cymbals here with me today. The hi-hat, 15K lights. They're beautiful, they shine, they sparkle. They're awesome. They really cut, and they're nice. Crash of Doom, I like a Doom crash because I want to make sure that everybody can hear me over guitars. And it kind of has a nice secondary ride surface. It's all bent, so it's not something you'll see every day. This is a 21-inch prototype, a Zildjian prototype of the 21-inch K organic ride, so pretty sweet prototype. And this actually is a Meinl cymbal, 16-inch Byzance Trash Crash, because this one's kind of, I just love it so much. So this exact one I have to have, but those are my cymbals. I use Remo drum heads, usually coated, like a nice warm sound. It varies from time to time, but Remo drum heads. I use Vic Firth sticks, mallets, and brushes, and in particular, my sticks are the Vic Firth Shogun 5As because I'm a drumming ninja. But these are Japanese white oak, so they're heavier, they're a little bit more durable. I like the weight and feel of a 5A, but sometimes I can get really abusive. So I want to make sure that a stick can hold up more than a couple songs. So as far as my playing, I like to have a nice sound where I kind of blend the things I know and learned from everybody else and the kind of things that I come up with. So it's basically looking back into the past and seeing all these great drummers, and even up to the present, seeing all the things that are being brought to the table, and then trying to kind of put that through a filter and play that in my own way. I don't want to just be a copy of somebody else, which I find that sometimes I hit a roadblock kind of sounding too much like one person, but I want to sound like myself. And I kind of go by the quote of Ndugu Chancellor, another great cat, which he said, have your sound, do your thing. So I really like to try to honor the past and the present, the drummers that are really paving the way for everybody else, but at the same time, making sure that I'm sounding like myself, because there's already a Tony Williams, there's already a Dennis Chambers, but I want to be myself and see what I can offer to the world of music. So as far as my teaching, I like to remember always that each student is different. I have a basic set of curriculum that I like to use and little tricks that I like to make sure that everybody learns, but at the same time, I have to fully understand that each student is their own individual, just like we were talking about with playing. Everybody's their own person, so I can't just simply regurgitate how I was taught and how I learned things, because everybody has a different learning style. And the advantage with having one-on-one lessons is that I don't have to teach 80 people the same way. I can teach one person the way that they really understand it. And I really find that I enjoy finding everybody's little quirks and their little personalities that help me really lead them on their musical journey, which it's an honor and a privilege just to help somebody find their way in the world of music.